Hello students, this is chapter 3.5. In this presentation, I'll be covering heredity, genes and behavior, cultural basis, socio-cultural shaping of behavior, concept of culture, what is culture, cultural transmission, socialization, socialization agents, acculturation, and the genes and memes. So in the last class, I have covered the endocrine system. Here, we'll talk about heredity, where we will go to genes and behavior. Now, heredity, you all have heard about heredity. We inherit characteristics from our parents in the form of genes, right? So, a child at birth possesses a unique combination of genes received from both parents. And heredity, as such, is the biological transmission of traits from parents to offspring. And this inheritance provides a distinct biological blueprint and timetable for an individual's development. Blueprint, you all know, you all have heard about blueprint, certain kind of model. If I have to give a concrete example, I can give, like, before building up an apartment, or say a building or any structure, the engineer have certain kind of blueprint. It's kind of planning that where what they have to do, okay, and timetable for an individual's development. Likewise, uh, we can refer in our individuals development also, that there are certain timetable that at certain time certain part of the body will be activated, and not all the time. Like from birth onwards, we don't develop everything. We have certain time period for those developments, isn't it? Like, just after a child is born, the child will not start running. It has certain time period. Getting the point? So the study of the inheritance of physical and psychological characteristics from ancestors is referred to as genetics. Okay, so genetics is nothing but it is the study of the inheritance of physical and psychological characteristics from one's ancestors. Now, the child begins life as a single zygote cell, which is also known as mother's ovum fertilized by father's sperm. Now, zygote is a tiny cell with a nucleus in its center containing chromosomes. Now, what are chromosomes? Chromosomes with all genes are inherited from each parent in equal numbers. Now, in the next slide, we will understand what are these chromosomes. You all have got this in your biology class, isn't it? When you were studying science. So, chromosomes with all genes are inherited from each parent in equal numbers, and they are thread-like paired structures in the nucleus of each cell. Now, the number of chromosomes per nucleus is distinctive and is constant for each living organism. Now, here is a very interesting point. You all know about it. So, at the time of conception, the organism inherits 46 chromosomes from parents. Okay, and 23 from the mother and 23 from the father. And each of these chromosomes contains thousands of genes. In the diagram, you will say there are these pairs, 22, 23 pairs of chromosomes. Okay, so the 23rd chromosome of the sperm cell, this makes all the difference. Now, the 23rd chromosome of the sperm cell can be either the capital X or Y type of the English alphabet. Okay. Now, here in the diagram, you will see the structure of the chromosome. It is thread-like paired structure. There are the threads you can see. And as I said, the 23rd chromosome, it can be either the capital X or Y type of the English alphabet. Now here, if the X-type sperm fertilizes the egg cell, the fertilized egg will have an XX 23rd chromosome pair. Okay, and the child will be a female. As I said, this makes all the difference. So, and if a Y type sperm fertilizes the egg, the 23rd chromosome pair will be XY and the child will be a male. So it depends on the type of sperm which fertilizes the egg. Okay, so basically it is with the males which have either X or Y, and the females, as it is already X, the females already have XX chromosomes. So whenever a sperm is being transmitted from the male, it can be either a combination of XX or XY. So if it is XX, then it is a female child, and if it is XY, it is a male child. Now chromosomes are composed mainly of a substance called deoxyribonucleic acid, that is DNA. Now genes, our genes are composed chiefly of DNA molecules. Now, the two genes that control the development of each trait are situated at the same locus, one on each chromosome of a particular pair. Okay? Next come genes. Now, every chromosome stores thousands of genetic commands in the form of genes. Genes are nothing but a carrier of heredity, and it is the unit of hereditary information. And as the genes act as blueprints for cells to reproduce themselves and manufacture the proteins that maintain life. Here we get two things, two types. One is genotype and another is phenotype. Now the observable traits of an organism are called phenotype. Some of the traits which can be seen from outside, which is observable. Okay? For example, the body build, physical strength, and other behavioral traits. And the traits which can be passed on to the offspring through genetic material are called its genotype. These genotypes we cannot see or we cannot observe it from outside. In the picture on the right hand side, you can see that there are two different colors of the eye color. Hmm? Now here the color of the eyeball, the eye, you can see the pupils. One is blue eyes and another is brown eyes. And genotype, basically there are certain recessive genes and certain dominant genes. Okay. Now a given gene can exist in several different forms. And change of a gene from one form to another is called mutation. The type of mutation that occurs spontaneously in nature provides variation in genotypes and permits the evolution of new species. So, mutation permits recombination of new genes with the genes already present, which is then put to test in the environment to select the best fitted for the environment. Whichever fits in the environment stays, and which does not fit, it cannot survive over here. Okay, so mutation occurs spontaneously in nature, which provides variation in genotypes and permits the evolution of new species. So far, we have been doing the biological basis of behavior. Now we will see the cultural basis, the socio-cultural shaping of behavior. Okay, because behavior, it is not shaped only through the heredity, the genes, the biological structure, no, but culture also plays a very important role in shaping one's behavior. And unlike animals, human beings have a culture to regulate their behavior, which can be regarded as one of the major reasons to argue that our behavior is more complex than the behavior of animals. Why? Now let us consider the basic need of hunger, as it has a biological basis, okay, and which is common among animals and human beings. We also get hungry, they also get hungry, the animals also get hungry, and basic need of hunger, it has a biological basis. And But the way this need is gratified by human beings is extremely complex. For example, some people eat vegetarian food while others eat non-vegetarian food. Now, how have they become vegetarian and non-vegetarians? For animals, there is nothing as vegetarian and non-vegetarian. Hmm? They will eat whatever they get. They don't have a preferred, and they don't even know that what is vegetarian and what is non-vegetarian. Now here, among humans, some vegetarians eat eggs, others do not. Why is that so? Now if you explore further, you will also find variations in the manner in which food is eaten. Some eat directly with hand, some with the help of spoons, forks and knives. Understanding the difference. So another example can be taken as the sexual behavior, which involves hormones and reflexive actions reactions in animals and human beings alike. Among animals, this behavior is fairly simple and reflexive, but among humans, it is so complex that it can hardly be described as reflexive. This is because of the fact that partner preferences are a key features of human sexual behavior which widely differ within and across societies. We human beings, we prefer our choice of partners, but animals they don't prefer that. Human sexual behavior is governed by many rules, standards, values and laws, and these rules and standards also remain in a continuous process of change. Okay, and these examples illustrate the fact that biological factors alone cannot help us very much in understanding human behavior. So human nature has evolved through an interplay of biological and cultural forces, and these forces have made us similar in many ways and different in others. Here is an extract from your textbook, which you'll find in your textbook page number 55. That's biological and cultural transmission. So in relatively modern years, a discipline called sociobiology has emerged that deals with the interaction of biology and society, and it explains human social behavior in an evolutionary framework on the basis of inclusive fitness, which means that each organism is supposed to behave in a manner so as to maximize its reproductive success. Then researchers who have studied several social behaviors, for example, child rearing, courtship, mating, underscored a continuity of development of biologically related creatures. So what they do is that they recognize that human behavior cannot be attributed solely to biological predispositions, and it is greatly affected by learning. There's a person known as Heidi Keller, who is a distinguished psychologist, just recently argued that genetic endowment should not be misunderstood as expressing fixed, deterministic relationships between genes and behavior. And she has proposed the notion of genetic preparedness, which suggests that acquisition of particular behaviors via learning occurs in fairly efficient ways to facilitate our adaptations with the environment. So it is now believed that human evolution involves both genetic and cultural transmissions. So these transmissions processes are different in certain respects, but they have parallel features. That means genetic transmission is a process that occurs in all organisms in a similar manner, but cultural transmission is a unique human process only, and it involves uh, intergenerational learning, that is via teaching and imitation, which makes it distinct from biological transmission. In cultural transmission, what happens is that individuals are influenced by people other than their biological parents, while in biological transmission, only the parents can be the source of influence. Okay, so only human beings have cultural parents. For example, members of extended families, teachers, and other influential people. The cultural evolution is also not restricted to intergenerational influences. Ideas are transmitted within generations, so much so that it is even possible for older people to model their behavior after younger ones. Now, the two processes are also similar in important ways. Both proceed in interaction with the demands of environment, and both involve changes that either stay or get lost depending on how adaptive they are. That is, how nicely they fit in the environment in which they first occurred. Therefore, at the human level, we find evidence for a dual inheritance theory. That is, biological inheritance takes place through genes while cultural inheritance takes place through memes. The former takes place in a top-down manner, that is from parents to children. Top-down means from parents to children. Okay, but the latter may also take place in a bottom-up manner, that is from children to parents. It is possible, isn't it? The cultural transmission, many times we have seen that whatever we have learned from our parents in the present scenario, and as the present time asks for, the parents also learn certain things. Say for technological advancement, they take help from their children because children are more advanced in the technological side. That is why uh, there is this both ways, top down manner and from uh, down bottom up manner, we can say. So dual inheritance theory also shows that although biological and cultural forces may involve different processes, they work as parallel forces and interact with each other in offering explanation of an individual's behavior. Got it? Try to go through this once again and try to understand biological and cultural transmission, how it is different and how it is similar. Now, while we will be doing the cultural basis of shaping human behavior, the students who are from sociology, please don't get confused and don't mix up the terms between what you have done in psychology and what you have done in sociology. Don't mix it up during your exams. Okay? Now, moving on, concept of culture. What do you mean by culture? I guess you will not have thought about it till now. So, what does it mean to be cultural? In the simplest terms, culture refers to the man-made part of the environment. Okay, the environment which we human beings have made, we can refer it as culture. So, it comprises diverse products of the behavior of many people, including ourselves. And these products can be material objects. We can say tools, sculptures, or ideas, that is, categories or norms, or it can also involve social institutions, that is, family or school. Now, for example, students sit on chairs in the classroom, but chairs are not found in all schools. In schools, in most villages, there are no chairs for students. They sit on the ground or on a piece of sack spread over it. Now, and also there are in ancient times also we have seen there were this in ashramas. Where did the students used to sit? Under a tree. Hmm? So that in some societies, children gather in rooms facing a teacher is another kind of cultural product called schooling. And this institution may have material aspects such as buildings and ideational aspects such as the notion that schooling should take place at a specific place and time, or the idea that individuals attending schools must be evaluated and given certificates on successful completion of schooling. Hmm? Correct? Now, much of our life as human beings involves interacting with various cultural products and behaving in accord with them. This means that culture shapes our behavior in a significant manner. However, it may also be noted at this point that just as culture shapes us, we also shape our culture.